These last couple of minutes are after Michel got caught pickpocketing money from a police officer, and Jean is visiting him in this scene.
Ces murs, ces barreaux, cela m'est bien égal. Je ne les vois même pas. C'est l'idée.
Quelle idée?
J'aurais dû me méfier, je me suis laissé prendre. Cette idée est insupportable.
I think the fact that he doesn't care that he's behind bars relates back to earlier in the movie when he kind of locked himself in his own jail after he got caught pickpocketing on the train. He stayed in his room for a few days and only left for food. He's used to isolating himself from society when things go wrong, so that's why he says he doesn't care about being locked behind bars, because he's used to doing it to himself. I also think this relates to Dostoevsky's recurring theme of isolation in The Brothers Karamazov, which he uses as a metaphor for despair. Essentially, by isolating himself in his room when he gets caught, Michel is putting himself through despair because he's ashamed that he let his guard down. Also, I think he isolates himself because I don't think he has any personal sense of self, which also explains why he latches on to pickpocketing and puts all of his energy into it. Pickpocketing is his own form of self-identification. He doesn't have any personality other than that, because the actor portrays him as really bland and basically strips him of any personality. Therefore, the audience only sees his personality through pickpocketing. So when pickpocketing goes wrong, Michel doesn't really know how to identify himself anymore, so he locks himself up because he doesn't know what else to do. This reminds me of Alyosha's situation at the monastery and how he stays there for a while before he truly understands who he is, but once he has that moment of self-realization after Zosima's death, he finally leaves the monastery like Zosima wanted him to. However, here with Michel, he doesn't have any sense of identity now that pickpocketing is gone, so he contently stays in isolation behind bars.
Tu souffres.
J'ai tout avoué.
T'en seras tenu compte.
Et à l'instruction, je nierai. Ils auront dû filer à retordre.
Michel says that he is going to deny his acts later on and make it harder for the police because by doing that, he will prolong his time in jail, therefore isolating himself for a longer period of time because right now, he still doesn't know who he is without pickpocketing.
Pourquoi es-tu venu?
Je n'ai plus que toi.
Pour que je te dise que j'ai mal agi et que tu triomphes. Je ne veux personne, rien. Reste.
In this scene, Michel gets a little upset with Jean for coming to visit, but then he tells her to stay after hearing that he is all that she has left. I think he does this because he likes to feel needed, and this idea can be seen through his attachment to pickpocketing, because he feels like he's needed in that community. For instance, in the montage scene, all of the pickpocketers are working together to steal, so in that situation, Michel has a purpose and he's needed by the other men in order for them to be successful. However, now that he's lost that community, he doesn't feel needed by anyone anymore, until just now with Jean, so that's why he tells her to stay.
Il y avait autre chose que je ne lui avais pas dit. Pourquoi vivre? Je n'avais rien décidé encore. Jeanne ne revint pas.
Right here, Michel was contemplating if he should still go on living now that he doesn't have pickpocketing anymore. But he says he hasn't made up his mind yet. I think this may be because Michel now knows that Jean potentially needs him in his life, so he's wondering if he should stay on Earth for her. I can infer this is because of Jean, because he walks up to the door and listens to the footsteps and waits for her. He's hoping that she'll come and tell him that she needs him again.
À la lecture de cette lettre, mon cœur a battu violemment.
Right here, Jean is telling him that she needs him again. This is what he has been waiting for in these scenes, which is why his heart pounds as he reads the letter. He wants to feel needed again and to have a purpose. Now that pickpocketing is gone, he doesn't have anything to identify with, but this offers him a chance to identify himself as Jean's caretaker.
Quelque chose illumina sa figure. Oh Jeanne, pour aller jusqu'à toi, quel drôle de chemin il m'a fallu prendre.
When Michel walks up to Jean, he kind of leaps towards the bars, which shows him finally transferring his attachment from pickpocketing to Jean. As for the music, some people have argued that the music plays at this moment to show that he's finally found love, but I see it more as a symbol for his personal sense of identity. For example, the only other time the music played was during the pickpocketing montage scene. During that scene, Michel felt most himself, but now that pickpocketing is gone, he has to show his identity through something else, but this time it's Jean. You can see in his eyes that he doesn't see Jean as anything more than this because of how dead his eyes look. They don't show any sign of love or happiness. For him, Jean is just the next thing he's going to try to show his identity through. In conclusion, these last couple of minutes show how Michel doesn't have a sense of identity, so he tries to form it through something or someone, like pickpocketing and Jean. When he loses his identity that he has through pickpocketing, he isolates himself as a form of despair, which is much like Dostoevsky's theme of despairing isolation. When Jean says that she needs him, Michel sees this as an opportunity to latch himself onto something else that he can show his identity through.